Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
It is
Good
still
morning.
morning,
Good.
technically.
Is it
It
morning for
is.
you, Chris? Yes, it's still morning. All right, are you ready to jump into a hot take episode of the e-commerce leader?
Let's do this thing.
I don't know where Michael is. Did he talk to you guys? Is he
He
like,
said he had some technical issue and he'll try to join as soon as he gets installed.
all right?
AKA reboot the computer. I don't know if that's true, but it usually solves most technical issues.
No doubt. All right, well, let's jump into it and let's kick it off. I'll kick it off and we'll
Special
begin.
effects.
Here we go. In today's episode of the e-commerce leader call-in show, we are going to share our hot takes on what we would do with $100 to start our e-commerce business if we were starting from scratch. And it's a little bit of a mental challenge. We'll have to reflect and ponder, debate the merits of different ideas, be frugal about all of this with $100, figure out how to start something exciting. So, gentlemen, are you ready to jump into this fun topic?
Let's do it.
Great.
We are ready.
All right. Great. Do one of you want to kick us off? Yes, we have a cartoon now of $100. Chris, you got to go first, man. Get us rolling with your first idea.
I feel silly that I did not bring like just $100 bill to hold it up. You can actually buy $100 bills off of Amazon. Of course, they're fake, but they're kind of fun to play with. Whole stacks of $100 bills. I like the idea of the $100 challenge because the people that I generally try to help the most with my books and my content and my courses are generally just getting started. And because of that, I try to give them so many things that they can do without spending, without committing to spending a lot of money. And that includes building websites and registering domains and hosting and getting custom email addresses and everything that goes into it. You can start a business on Amazon or KDP or something. There's a lot of things you can do without spending literally any money. So I try to get people, get them on that track first so they can try and test things out. So they can say, look, is selling for me, is publishing for me, is merch by Amazon for me, whatever it might be, without committing to spending a lot of money. And that's where I go back to, like, okay, you've made something, you committed to a platform, and now you've got to get some attention. You've got to get your product into people's hands, either for reviews or just for the attention that you might get from it. And I I'll go with $100. You got to be able to spend $100 and be willing to say, look, I might get nothing back from this. Now, if you do the things we talked about today, I'm very confident you're going to get way more back, way more attention than you can generally get for $100 doing something more traditional like Facebook ads or sponsored products on Amazon. Because if you're new to those things, you're generally going to spend a lot of money, and it's going to be a test. It's going to be a $100 test, and you're basically going to get back some data and probably no sales. And then you have to spend another $100 and get more data and hopefully get some sales and kind of dial it in that way. So if you got $100, to me, that's kind of like this baseline limit. If you don't have $100, then there's probably some other things you need to do in order to save $100 so that you can then do some of these marketing ideas. Now, I'm going to go straight to the KDP side because if I'm publishing a book that's for sale for $15, $20, that has a cost to me of $2, and total fulfillment costs, I can get a book in someone's hands in the US for under $6. Under $6 delivered in an Amazon package, trackable. They're going to get it. They're going to open it. And what's the quick math? I can send out 16 books for $6. So it's at $96, I think, if it comes out to 16 books in people's hands. And my books are, of course, going to have some kind of call to action, some kind of marketing message, some kind of way to contact me if they get it and they're like, who is this person? Oh, this is how I can find out who sent it, and find 16 people that you think would benefit from getting your book. Am I going too long or too fast on this already? Like, 16 people. Get your book into 16 people's hands. Now, which people?
It's good. Yeah.
I would go to Instagram influencers. I would go to YouTube channels. I would go to blogs. Anybody that's talking, like Facebook groups, anybody that has an audience of people that are ideal for my book. If it's about stuff for new moms, there are 100 new mom blogs, not more than 100. There's thousands of mom blogs, mom Facebook groups, mom YouTube channels, and you can find out who's in charge of these things. Go to the About section on YouTube, and it'll have business inquiries, a direct email. You can email them. Find the admins in a Facebook group, contact them, and say, look, this is who I am. I would love to send you this absolutely free. And some of them are going to respond yes, and some are going to respond no. But if you ask enough of them, you're going to find 16, get it in their hands, and maybe half of them, a quarter of them, will share it with their audience. Who knows? But to me, that's if you get one person who shares it, if you get one feedback, one testimonial, one something, that's worth $100 to me, because now you can use that and you can piggyback and you can leverage and keep going from that. And you're not going to get that from a Facebook ad, in my opinion. I'm open to other people's opinions, but man, get your product in people's hands as cheaply as possible.
No, I love that one, because obviously, if you did write the book and you did have the 6 author copies for $6, you could also do a Kindle version, which automatically you could have a free, unlimited, free day for Kindle and have it into the hands of thousands of people. So just your track alone would be, it wouldn't be 6 people. It would be, you could have
16.
5,000 people. Or sorry, 16. Yeah, you'd have thousands of people if you did a free day with your Kindle book. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of like phase 2, right? So if you do 16, this is hard copies. Now, if you read my book, and I'll give you the briefest version of it, but you can drop your price on your Kindle book. Say you don't sell for 99 cents all the time. Maybe it's $9.95 or $2.99, whatever it is. You can drop it as the author to 99 cents, spend your $100 and buy 99 copies of it, or 100 copies, right? 100 copies for $99, 101 copies for $99.99. Now you have 101 individual redemption links, which I know people are like, what are you talking about? This is how it works. I can buy multiple copies of any Kindle book, including my own, which I get to control, drop the price to 99 cents. Now I have 101 individual redemption links that I can offer as bait. I can give away as gifts. I can contact people. You don't even have to send anything. You can do this from anywhere in the world. This is all digital, right? So you could do a mix. You could do some physical copies, some digital copies, but you can get your product into people's hands in a gifting. You're giving it to them. So they're like, you're not asking for anything. And all of a sudden, that's the way to do it. There are so many. We could do more than one show on this.
Well, obviously, if you did that, you'd also learn how to do the back-end Amazon part of it, which is a whole different learning track. Okay, so awesome way to spend $100. Kyle, what do you got for us, man? How would you spend $100 to get started?
If I was going to get started, I think the easiest way still to launch, especially e-commerce, if you're going to do physical products, is you're going to spend that $100 and you're going to buy inventory and you're going to try and flip it as a reseller on Amazon. It still can be done. You can do it on eBay. When you buy inventory to resell, meaning you go to a store, you find something on discount, you find something online, and you're arbitraging what you buy it for and what you can sell it for. And you can send it into FBA on Amazon, fulfillment by Amazon. You can sell it on eBay. You can sell it all on Facebook Marketplace. You could literally arbitrage it and just sell it on Facebook Marketplace. It's all about what you get the deal on for sourcing. I still think that's probably the simplest way to get started with the least amount of risk. If you got $100, that's where you could test it. If you're going to be, if you have a brand, say you're trying to launch a brand, right? And you have $100, the first thing you need to find is at least 10 people to buy your product. You need to figure out, do you have any level of product market fit for your product? And you need at least 10 people to buy it. Now, what I would do if I had that $100 with my product is I would just do what Chris said, what he said for the Kindle version. I would buy $100 or take $100 worth of my inventory, and I would start giving it out to people who I think could provide valuable feedback on it. Hopefully someone who has influence, right? Think about influencer marketing, probably going to get you the furthest along, but you want their feedback, and mostly you want exposure to their audience as well. So for $100, I would lean into influencer marketing to try to figure out whether or not that your product actually does, in fact, solve a problem that your customer actually wants to solve. Because if it doesn't matter if you spend $100 or $1 million, you're going to have a real issue long-term trying to build a business out of it. So you got to get some product market fit, and spending $100 to do that would be job number one.
Yeah. I figured arbitrage would come up as sort of a path here. So, yeah.
I think so.
All right, Michael, what do you got for us? How would you spend $100 to start an e-commerce business?
Well, I'm not sure how I'd start it. I mean, if I had $100 to spend on marketing for an existing business, what I thought, if I had $100 to start, then I guess I would do retail arbitrage. That wasn't really something I'd given much thought to be honest, with this question. My answer for the person who's more established, though, is going to sound really dull compared to Chris's incredibly imaginative answers, which I would expect nothing less from Chris. I would spend it on making sure that I got the best conversion I could, because that's just going to get me more money for my buck as quickly as possible. I just think for $100, I could probably get somebody who can do a basic job of increasing the quality of and the how I'm going to put it, the selling mission of the image work on an Amazon listing, for example, or get $100 worth of some really quality keyword research done. Either one of which could drive sales of our Amazon environment. Not very sexy or interesting. That would honestly be my first go-to, because I'd expect to get a return on investment fairly straightforwardly from that, and which would stick around. The great thing about conversion rate optimization is on Amazon, it is a sales conversion strategy, but it's also a ranking and thus a traffic strategy, because you get ranked better if you convert better, and you pay once and you get paid back multiple times. So honestly, I'm a fan of CRO for that reason.
Love it. All right. So if you were starting out, you do arbitrage. If you're spending $100 on marketing for an existing business, it would be optimization strategies. Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, if you think about it, if you're already trying to scale into something, or you already have some traction, you're going to have some level of traffic. And most likely that traffic is not optimized to convert, whether it's your website or your Amazon listing or whatever you're doing. So investing any amount, starts at 100, might go up beyond 100, is going to be in your best interest. So, and then another thing too, I would just say is that you're going to start, if you need marketing ideas with $100, I would try and find Chris's course with a coupon code, and if I had $100, I would just get that, and then it's all jam packed full of all these marketing ideas. So there you go. Education is another way that you could spend your $100 on to learn a skill set, to practice something, to sharpen your tool set. I think is another way that you could spend and invest that $100.
Yeah, I was gonna chime in with just one thought. When I first heard about selling online, it was you guys probably tired of me telling this story, but it was this guy who had built a website to do traffic school, and he went to the Sonoma County traffic court judge and asked if that judge would start referring people to traffic school on his website, and the judge remarkably said yes, and people started just coming to this guy's website and paying this fee. And I heard that story. He was like making $1,000 a day at the time. This was like in 1998. And I heard that story and I was like, well, first of all, I don't know how to build a website. Second of all, I don't know anything about traffic school or any topic that I could think of. And third, I'd never have the guts to go talk to a traffic court judge. But the idea, the kernel of the idea, just captured my imagination. And so what I ended up doing was I saw Dave Espino's eBay auctions for profit infomercial on TV, and spending that money on his course was probably the first step that was the most meaningful, substantive thing. And we started 10 years later when we started on eBay. But nonetheless, it was that initial expenditure. So I would spend it, I think, probably on education. But I think I've got like level 2 of that. There are so many people who are e-commerce sellers now on Amazon and in other places, Etsy, eBay, Craigslist, OfferUp, whatever. I think what I would do is probably network locally with an e-commerce seller in my town and spend my $100 buying them a cup of coffee every Saturday for like the next 3 months or whatever it is. Buy the Americano at Starbucks, not the Venti Frappuccino, and make your $100 last for as long as you can, picking their brain, asking their opinions, getting insight from what they've learned about e-commerce. And that investment in your new buddy who's local to you that could give you tips and insights and resources and recommendations, I think is probably the optimal path. That's, I think, what I would do in hindsight. Like if I could have just met with that guy who started traffic school every Saturday, I didn't even know enough to ask him if he would mentor me or, if I could meet with him. But if I would have, I think I would have learned a tremendous amount and accelerated my path towards learning. So I think that's how I'd spend my $100. Chris, back to you.
I strongly disagree. Sorry, Jason. We're going super fire hot takes back and forth. I challenge you to find someone you really want to have mentor you, who's going to meet with you in exchange for a cheap cup of coffee every weekend for 3 months. They don't exist. I do not believe they exist. Open challenge. Find me this person.
Open challenge, buddy. Open challenge.
Chris, I will buy you a Dunkin' Donuts coffee. I will buy you a Dunkin' Donuts coffee if you teach me KDP.
Maybe
Here's the difference.
maybe I'm a lot
Here's the
more
difference.
likable character than you are. I don't know. I mean,
here's the difference.
Oh.
We're giving real info. Kyle, I would have
Real
coffee
info.
with you every weekend for 3 months for free.
Yeah,
right? Because I
right.
know you. We have a
Exactly.
relationship, right?
Exactly.
If you don't have that relationship, 0% chance, in my opinion, that you're going to get somebody who's going to
So,
really teach you something useful and valuable in exchange for a cup of coffee.
Let me build off this, because I do think this is an interesting angle. I think that in order to meet these people in your community, you have to go where they are and you have to build that relationship, to Chris's point. And one of the best ways to actually do that is to volunteer your time at charities and at things like that, where you're going to be able to network with entrepreneurs and people that have had success and they're giving back. If you are networking with charities that you're passionate about and you're serving and volunteering there, you're going to get connected to them and you're going to get aligned on a cause, and then you can start to build that relationship. So it doesn't cost you anything. It's actually less than $100.
Here's a related rebuttal. A very simple thing to do would be to set up a meetup group in your town, and through meetup.com, just say, I'm hosting an e-commerce get together every Saturday at the library. And you would end up with people coming to those. Kyle and I did that in Seattle before COVID for a year or two. And we met some amazing operators. It was just sweat equity on our part to just convene. We met at a WeWork. Somebody had a membership and it was a blast. So I take your point. I agree. Busy e-commerce operators probably wouldn't mentor, but some might, and you might be able to find them if you work at it. In any way, it's just an idea of how to get into the biz. So
I would say I agree with you that you can find them, but you have to find them through that sweat equity, that spending your time, which is the same as money, that building that relationship, finding that first. And here's what the $100 thing, this is exactly what I would do. Because if you don't have that local, depending where you live, you may not have these same options. But online, I'm baffled the amount of people who try to get my time for free, like zero exchange, zero offer of exchange, which is why the $100 thing can work this way. If someone messaged me saying, "Hey, can I get you on the phone for an hour for $100? I just have a few questions," I would probably say, "You know what? I respect you for offering me $100, and I'll get on the phone with you for a half hour on my drive home, something where I got some extra time for free." But I would do that because they offered $100.
So it is
because
possible.
Nobody
you just
offered.
have to have the right script.
It is possible, but you didn't give them the right script. Exactly.
Well,
That's
you
why we
just
got to bring it back. You left it out. I don't know if you left it out.
You tuned
it
up for me. Thank you.
It's a softball question. Here you go. But that's 100% true. That's the $100 that there are multiple ways to spend this $100. And one of them is simply offering it cash money to somebody to talk to them. Because I find people still think $100 an hour, and they think, well, that's a lot or that's not a lot. If you're in this entrepreneur space, we don't work by the hour. So all of a sudden you're thinking, hey, $100 to talk to this guy, $100 to help someone out, $100 to hey, maybe let me help this guy. If someone helped me in the past, I'm gonna do this. Just that offer means so much, and so few people do it, which is why it stands out. So if you're listening to this, take notes and be like, hey, this is going to work, because people don't do this.
Let me just tack on another freebie for everybody that is also on the theme of education, because I totally agree. I mean, I think that idea of finding mentors, being educated, finding somebody either with your $100 or for free is a path. There's another simple, elegant path to learning now. Of course, I mean, YouTube's there and you can learn almost everything you need about all of these topics on YouTube. But you just have to spend a lot of time doing it. Another more elegant path is, many Kindle books are made free for a short time. And if you just look in the internet marketing category, social media category, e-commerce category, and you watch the free Kindle book promotions, they come and go every 2 or 3 days. It's, they're short-term offers. That you will find a ton of books that are free about all of these topics, setting up on marketplaces, social media, copywriting. I got a killer copywriting book for a Kindle free deal that I looked through it and I was like, oh my goodness, this is like massive value. All these copywriting formulas, and they're giving it away as a lead gen. So that is a super helpful path for education as well as all the stuff like YouTube channels and Udemy courses and things like that. Okay, let's bring the topic to a close here. Any final thoughts on how you would spend $100 getting started, or marketing an existing business from an early stage. Michael, any other thoughts?
Yeah, quick one for me. I was just thinking about what you were saying about meetup groups and things. I mean, I wouldn't expect to get a good mentor for free, by the way. But I mean, if you can engineer it through a cunning script, so good for you. But what I did actually do in the early stages of my first year in business and the Amazon business was put together a meetup of newbies who weren't very experienced, but between us, we had, some collective experience on the topic of China sourcing specifically, which is what I felt I didn't have much training in then. And I spent probably about $100 of my own money over the course of 3 or 4 months hiring a nice business venue, and everyone else paid for their own, their portion of the room hire. And that was really valuable start to getting out there and meeting people to the point you were making. So that set up my own meetup, and that was incredibly valuable. If you're thinking of doing it and you've got your own e-commerce business, it's worth joining an existing mastermind because it's a lot of work. But that was one thing I did. So some form of networking with other people in the same game. If they are more advanced than you, I would expect to pay. But if they're at the same sort of level as you, that may be useful depending what level you're at, and in which case that's a very good spend of the money, I think.
Yeah, totally love that. We've got a question, which is, if you're going to work for free, or you're going to, work in a, sorry. You guys with me? Sorry.
Yeah.
Question from the audience came in, which is, how do you support yourself if you're going to work for others for free, or if you're going to be, part of a team where you're not really extracting a lot of value? How would you juggle that? The idea of trying to learn and lean into the e-commerce space at the same time needing to support yourself. Chris, any thoughts on that?
Well, first you have to support yourself. So this isn't an option of saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, I want to do this." So who's gonna take responsibility for me over here? No, you still have to support yourself and find ways to say, "Look, I'm gonna save money here. I'm gonna cut some time out here. I'm gonna make time here," and it's not gonna be easy.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to sacrifice some stuff, but you can't just abandon your responsibilities.
How long did you
in order to do
moonlight
some of
in
this other stuff.
e-commerce before you went full time into it? Was
Oh,
there that
I've
period of your
moonlighted
life?
huge. I've had a lot of people ask me, when do I quit my job and go full
Yeah.
time? And it's like, when you can't do both anymore. I mean, I was working full time for a power tool company, and my eBay business was getting really big, and it got to the point where I felt like, you know what, this company is paying me to do a certain amount of things, and I don't feel good about that. So it's like, either I need to tone back to eBay and do more of that, or say, look, I'm not. This isn't a fair deal for you, for the employer. So it's time for me to leave. But it's because I had the eBay thing as a backup, and say, look, now that I'm not spending time at the job, I can then take that time and grow even more on the eBay, and that's where you take that chance. And when people I think people often or too often think, oh, what will happen if I quit my job and it doesn't work out? You'll go back and get another job, right? Like, the jobs are still there. Okay, it's not like you have the only job on the planet that you were able to do. You can go back and get another job. So that's your worst case scenario. That's when you can take that chance.
Kyle, how about you? How long did you moonlight before you went full time with your own biz?
A few years for sure. And I would, you kind of get to this place, to Chris's point, where your side hustle gig starts to take up more and more of your time, and you have to make that decision of like how much. Well, because at some point too, you're sort of limiting both options, right? Like, you can't really push into the job because your side hustle's taking it, and then you limit the growth of your side hustle job stuff because you don't have your max amount of your time, right? So you're kind of stuck in this inflection point moment, and you just have to sort of make that decision and leap. But to Chris, I agree with Chris that you need to take care of, covering your bills, getting all that stuff taken care of first, because the important thing about it is there are learning curves to any business and any model that you get into. And you don't want to be out on the ledge necessarily learning something brand new and not have the ability to support yourself or your family while you're doing it. So, keep the job and keep rolling.
Reid Hoffman always likes to use the metaphor that entrepreneurs throw themselves off the cliff and build the airplane on the way down. And I don't know that that's really true. I think a lot of entrepreneurs side hustle it, and they have a side hustle that they grow, and then they they take flight and cut loose of their main employer. I moonlighted for 5 years before we went full time with the biz. And at a few points, I thought to myself, we could make this without me having this full time job. But just kind of timing in life and everything sorted itself out so that it made sense for me to conclude. January 1st, 2014 was my last day as a regular employee. Never looked back,
That's good. Oh, Reed
There's
Hoffman
something
also
important to add
raised a
on
bunch
that.
of money.
Oh, go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah.
It's easier to jump off the cliff if you have hundreds of millions of dollars of investor money floating your business.
Yeah. Okay. Chris, were you going to make a comment?
Yeah, I think people need to think about it this way. This is a perfect show for it. If you're like, hey, I really want to open up my own sports card physical location business, how do I do that while still supporting myself? Well, that's not terribly practical if you don't know what you're doing, you don't have any money, you don't have the time because you have a full-time job, whatever it is. But there are tons of different side hustles, and the amount of education you can get for free or inexpensive is where I think people need to spend that time if they don't have the time and money to go full-time with what they want. Stop and relax and like say, what do I want to do? Do I want to become a writer? Do I want to become an arbitrage seller? Do I want to become a software provider? What all these different things are going to take different amounts of money, different amount of time to set up, different amount of time to recoup and actually finally make a profit, different amount of money to even start. All these things are different. So don't jump in and be like, I got to do that. Like, no, you may not want to do what you're doing. And I got to throw this out there. I know we're wrapping up, but we initially were talking about like getting our products into people's hands. To me, it's an attention game. So if you have $100 you want to market yourself, you need the attention of people who have an audience of your potential customers. And there are two things that you can do on Amazon that people don't know about. Nobody's teaching these things, and that's giving Kindle books to other people and giving gifts. Amazon has a new gifting program where you can send somebody any product on Amazon, prime shipping, and all you need is their phone number or their email address. So if you know what, hey, this person is really into this kind of stuff, you know what, I'm going to send them a thoughtful gift from Amazon, and all you need is their email. Put it in, and they're going to be like, what? This person's sending me this? That's cool. Now you have their attention. You can start that relationship, whether you want to mentor, whether you want to sponsor their Instagram feed, whether you want to, like, whatever it is, you need their attention. So get creative with the $100, put some thought into it, and don't just send somebody. I mean, I should have said this at the beginning. Instead of sending my book, no, I'm going to send something they actually want, right? Something that, hey, I watched your content. I know that you're actually into this stuff. And I'm going to send you something. Even if it's not expensive, it's the thought that counts. And guess who's doing this? Nobody. So you're going to stand out. Piece of cake.
Love it. Guys, as always, it's an honor to hear your insights and perspectives. A great conversation today. If you're watching this on replay, love to answer questions. Just leave them in the comments below. And if you're listening to it on one of our podcast shows, either in the call-in app itself or on the e-commerce leader, we'd love to have you give us a follow of our channel and like of the shows, whatever feedback methodology you can use in the player of choice that you're using. We'd love that. It's an honor to serve the community and to answer questions for e-commerce operators. We love our operators out there. It's so fun to work with people one-on-one and in small groups and in formats like this. And so we just encourage you to be encouraged and use your $100 wisely to start or grow your business. And there's a cool cartoon if you're watching the video from Chris. All right, guys.
Don't spend that all in one spot.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See ya.